So, hey, good morning, everybody. Welcome to this panel about how the cities can be cultivating the development companies in their respective areas. And I have a pretty good and expert panel here today, because these people, I have known all of them for over 10 years, and they all have been involved to this kind of activities for a while. And I guess that Anne, you can start because you have been around for a while, or at least Oulu has been around for a while. So could you basically tell us who you are and what you do at the moment and what is going on in Oulu?
Sure. I appreciate the correction of I've not been around for a while. Oulu has been around for a while.
You were working before in a game developer company.
Yes,
so
yes, that I did. I have an age crisis in terms of my clients keep calling me old, but that's neither here or there. So I come from Business Oulu. Business Oulu is essentially the kind of business development unit of the city of Oulu, so very much a public servant nowadays. Have been doing that for a couple of years. I'm a business advisor for the creative industries, which includes the game industry as well. And prior to that, I worked for 7 years at a small Oulu game studio and had the time of my life.
Yeah, going into all the trade missions to Paris and
Yes.
GDC, San Francisco, and
Yes.
everything like that.
I still get to do that, but now I get to be like, yay, teams, and kind of not deal with pain.
Asking about those trade missions we organized together back in the day, were they useful for your company when you
Yes.
were working in the company?
Yes, because we released the title in 2014.
Yeah.
And then we had a new IP that we wanted to go pitch in 2017. So 3 years is a long time in the game industry. So we kind of had to start building those networks again and doing those kind of things. So very, very useful, yes.
And as a city representative today, you think that it's definitely worth of doing this kind of trade missions also from your city representative point of view?
I think it's one of the most useful, but most like applauded services that we provide for the companies, very much so, yeah.
So basically, if I asked you what cities should be doing trade missions, would be one answer to the question.
Yes, okay. Definitely. We get the young teams out into the world very quickly, and they get a lot of good experience. Definitely, yes.
Okay, thank you, Anne. And Sasu, I remember you from Jyväskylä. You were in Jyväskylä years and years ago.
I lived there 8 years.
Yeah, lived there, and you were part of the Jyväskylä Expo hub and everything. And now you are working for the game makers.
The usual story, I moved to Jyväskylä to study and ended up starting some game companies there and worked with like this kind of development projects, regional development. And then now I live in the capital city area. Actually, my daily work is in a consulting company where I help game studios and all kinds of IT projects. And the Game Makers of Finland thing is like a volunteering work on my free time, but yeah.
And the Game Makers is trade union? Or?
Yes, so Game Makers of Finland is the trade union for game makers. So at the moment we are operating under the engineering union, but we are not limiting the kind of
scope
activities or scope to the engineering only, because games industry is a wide range of skills and trades. At the moment, Game Makers of Finland is kind of 10% of the Finnish games professionals are kind of members of Game Makers of Finland. Otherwise, I think most of the workers in games industry belong to some unions, like engineering union,
or are members of some kind. And you also have experience from the games industry as an entrepreneur or as a game industry employee.
Yes. So my background is in startups, mobile games, and working with startups with co-working spaces and regional development projects. That's also kind of my point of view in the game makers, to bring that startup and company point of view to things and operations.
Yeah, okay. Adion, you have been around, I remember also you from Jyväskylä,
Yes,
and
yes.
then you have been working in a game company or game companies, and then you have been in Helsinki, and now I noticed that you are representing Espoo.
Yes.
Congratulations for Espoo, because it's a big day. Alan Wake 2 came out today.
Yes,
And
yes.
if you have read the reviews or if you have seen the trailers, let's give a big hand for the Alan Wake. It's definitely a game I think that many of us have waited for 13 years. So,
Indeed.
so what are you doing? And from your point of view, if I think that Anne mentioned about the trade missions, or I mentioned the trade missions, but Anne kind of applauded me. So what is your take to this kind of city development of the games industry after being in different cities around?
Yeah, definitely. I have to say that I hope I had less work to do, so I had time to play Alan Wake 2, but that's unfortunate at the moment. But yeah, I hail from Jyväskylä, and basically Suvi from Neo Games came there, had a guest lecture, and she cursed that there's nobody to contact in Jyväskylä about game industry status, so they were like, hey, why don't we do something? And Peliaskunta Expo was born there. And yeah, basically, right now, I've worked there in Jyväskylä, and since the start of my career, I've always been somehow involved with the regional development through IGDA Finland, Finnish Game Jam Association, and like my past job was at the Helsinki Games Capital that I'm still operating at the moment. But right now I'm super happy to work with City of Espoo. We have a brand new project that started last month, and we are I'm super excited to finally have resources from a city and to actually do something good for the game industry. So I'm super excited about this project.
So different kind of establishing different kind of activities and,
Yes.
and
Yep.
attracting companies to come to Espoo and,
Yes.
and so
Yeah.
on.
Yes, yeah, we are basically trying to build the whole thing, like the hub and cluster for the games. We start with the game lab, it's going to be the core of that, and then we're going to try to attract new game companies and help game companies to drive around that.
Yeah.
So, super excited.
Yeah, no, I guess that there is quite good ground in Espoo in a way that there already is a couple of big well-known companies like Remedy and Rovio
Yes.
in Espoo, so it's not a blank spot in the
No,
Finnish
definitely not.
development map.
But even when I started working in Jyväskylä, I learned, that's my hypothesis, that game communities are born around making games. So that's very important. Like people just developing games, getting to know and trust each other via that kind of projects, like companies, but also like jams and other kind of stuff. So I think that's the most important part. Making games is the point of this.
Not talking about making games, but actually making
Yes.
games. That's a very good starting point
Yes.
for
What
everyone.
are we doing here? Let's just go make games.
Yeah. So
Game labs.
Yeah.
basically, I have quite often said that you can create a lot of things with the public support, but you can't create the dynamics which is required for people to starting to make games.
If I may add, because it's really important point on your original question, is that I've been working with Jyväskylä, City of Helsinki, and Espoo, and it's a long way. Like game industry is super important. The game, the community is super strong and intimate. Like we know each other very well, but it's really hard to communicate the value of that to the cities. Because it's a long way. It's somehow so far from traditional industries and traditional business. So the value of communicating the value of that to the people, to the politicians and people working about the city, it's hard. And it's something that we all need to work hard.
We are trying to find the right arguments for
Yes.
for the development of the industry. Actually, yesterday somebody, or 2 days ago, somebody asked me what is the games industry share of Finnish exports, because as you know, we are export industry. And I actually had to figure it out because I had never thought that in that detail before. Then I went through the statistics, and I found out that around 10% of the Finnish service exports is actually games, and around 2.6% of Finnish total exports is games. So basically, games are pretty important thing for Finnish economy, also from the national economy point of view. So actually development of game clusters and development of this kind of game ecosystems in the regions and in the cities shouldn't be a brainer. But for some reason, it seems to be a brainer every now and then. And I totally agree with you that when developing this kind of things, it's not a sprint, it's a marathon.
Yes.
So it's not something you can do in 2 or 3 years. You should take at least 5 to 7 to 10 years program in order to develop the, which you have been doing Oulu, by the way.
We have with we have in different forms. Let's put it this way. We started out in the early 2000s with the LV project, then OGL followed.
Yeah, Oulu Game Lab, OGL.
Oulu Game Lab, yes,
Yeah.
which is a very good lab model, and it's internationally renowned and awesome source.
We're gonna do it here.
Yay! Espoo Game Lab, yay! And now we don't have such a, let's say like, what's the word? Like a one place where people can gather. But I think that is mostly my job that I try to do, because we do have like different educational facilities that have game industry things going on. We have IGDA that kind of facilitates the community. And then my job currently is to try and have these people come together every now and then and being like, burst these different bubbles, like, hey, meet together, talk together, all of these types of things.
So this kind of old-fashioned games industry peer support kind of thingy that you get together and then you discuss about your activities, what you are doing at the moment, and if there is something I can learn from you, and if there is something you can learn from me, and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, exactly. Bringing people together. I'm like, I feel I'm very fortunate in where I got my start in the game industry, because Oulu was in such a good position, and the company where I landed in was kind of instrumental in building the Oulu kind of game industry. So I think I've had a very unique view of like growing up in appreciating the fact that the industry doesn't come from nothing, but you actually have to work to make it feel alive and be alive.
And
something to add that also in central Finland, what we build, like you said, it sometimes takes years and years of work, but it also requires the cooperation between all kinds of organizations, like the cities, then some IGDA, that is like all the community activities, then maybe the universities or educational institutions or schools on the area. And also, like Jonne said, it all evolves around the game development. So the cities need to do something to keep the game development talent in the areas. And also, one important thing is not to be in the bubble, like collaborating between different cities, and because it's a global industry, always remember that the community always and the business is global, and like bringing, let's say, publishers or investors to the clusters or areas, events.
So
around.
basically organizing different kind of events also for investors to see your companies and your companies to see investors and get the feedback from the investors and other players of the field.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
So that was something that has been done many years, let's say, in Central Finland. We actually worked with Jonne in the same job, but different times at Jyväskylä Game Lab. So the Game Lab's type of operation is something that usually is operated by a university or school, or then with some kind of public funding to help the things. But maybe Jonne can tell more about this type of thing.
No, you won't. No. Hey,
Secret.
It's a secret.
Don't ask.
It's a secret sauce. But being in this industry for a while and seeing the development in regions and national development and everything, I know that there is still some things we are lacking from the regional point of view, city point of view, or national point of view. And if you can tell me, what are your wishes? What would you like to have in order to provide the best possible support for the game developer companies in your respective areas? So what would that be? And I know it's money, but maybe something else.
For our region currently, I think even though being kind of the originator of the old game lab model, the current form of it isn't the same anymore. It's more of a individual course type of a thing. And,
Not cursed.
course, you know,
Yeah.
at the University of Applied Sciences. So I think that would be the most crucial thing for the local game community, to have a similar lab model come back where the thing takes the whole year, because as discussed, it takes time to build this kind of trust when making these games and having people work together. So that would be the number one thing.
So basically one venue for startup companies, students of the University of Applied Science, where they could actually make games and meet each others, and that would be provided by the city funding, or?
Well, with the help of the city funding, because as said, it's more towards the educational facilities, but of course it is, if we can help, of course we should try and help. But my position in the hierarchy is here, so I can just be like, hey, let's do this.
You can only make suggestions to the upper level.
Yes, yes.
Just get higher. Like,
Oh,
that's
yeah.
the solution.
Oh,
that's the easy way.
Yeah. Smart.
But Janne, do you have something else which you would like to have in order to ramp up or actually you have just started, but now it's time to make wishes to the city of Espoo?
Yeah, I started, but I kind of continued on the path and the blessing I got from my earlier job as a managing director of Helsinki Games Capital. And I got to write that in a EU funding form, and now we're actually doing that. And like, if we think about the game industry right now, and as I'm answering your question, like, I don't think we have enough support for the new entrepreneurs, because we just need to have that. I'm trolling and telling that only one who makes a game company right now is either crazy or stupid. Like, if you don't have earlier experience already. Sorry, this is a hot take, because there's so much like you don't know, and there's no help. But now we have help here.
Yeah.
So like, just giving like basic information for all the students and people. My dad is calling me. Sorry. So that was disturbing. So yeah, we need no more support for the new entrepreneurs. Anybody who is even considering a new job as a part of their portfolio, or continuation after school, or graduation, or something like that. So that is definitely, we need more support, and Game Lab is one really great example of that. But one general thing I really would hope from all the levels, like from the cities level all the way to national level, even EU level, is just like curiosity. I think that's the most beautiful, like emotion of human nature. Like, I hope the people would be more curious about game industry, because at NeoGames you do such an important and great job on getting all the data together. There's so good data about Finnish game industry and how much we do. So I just wish like all the politicians and people in power would be more curious to learn how they could help and what they could do. That would be beautiful.
Yeah.
Also, Game Makers of Finland is doing yearly like a survey for the games industry from the, let's say, employee perspective or the job market perspective. So we have been conducting this salary for some years now, and actually soon is gonna open this year's salary survey, let's say.
Yeah. It's a good one. I have seen it, and we basically do our non-public salary survey, and the results are pretty much the same.
It's eye-opening, let's say, to see how the, let's say, job market is evolving and what direction.
Yeah.
That is always good to know.
Okay, but basically what you would like to have from your cities is more support, this kind of structures like Oulu Game Lab. Is there some kind of presentation of the structure of Oulu Game Lab available somewhere in public?
I'm sure Jussi Autio will provide you with one if
Yeah, yeah.
necessary, or I can ask him.
Because if you
Yeah.
are referring to that, it would be nice to see what it actually was.
Yeah.
And then this kind of talent development point of view is one of the key issues in the games industry. And startups.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
There's so many low-hanging fruits that like whole game industry is so lean. Like all the game companies have to be so lean. So even how we do things with cooperation with unions and associations, cities
Yeah.
and game companies, it's lean. So there's a lot of places where just a tiny bit of resources would do amazing things.
Yeah. Talking about startups, as we know that during the pandemic, this is a funny story, but during the pandemic there was 46 new startup companies in Finland. I think that games industry is the only area where there were actually a lot of startup companies, more than usually during the pandemic. and kind of
Pandemic babies.
strengthens my opinion that games industry people are a little bit strange. But if you think about, Anne, you have been discussing, and Jonne also, you have been discussing with the startups quite a lot. So what do you do when the startup company or wannabe startup company comes to your doorstep and wants to discuss you about setting up a game developer company?
I try to be encouraging.
Me too.
And I am encouraging, I feel like. I try to advise against setting up a company too soon, just from the practical point of view of like, don't set up a company until it's really necessary in terms of like getting funding, for instance. That's until then, just work as a team. Just like a lean structured team. I think those would be the kind of two things. Then if they want to go and search for publishers, then we look through pitch decks and all of these like basic things. Yeah.
So basically going through the sanity check if the company is ready to run, so to speak.
Yeah.
Yeah. How about Jonne, do you have some?
I just like to everything distills into paradoxes. Like you need to be realistic, but also crazy optimistic. Like you have to be both. But it's a tricky thing. But obviously, trying to check the basics that they have right thing. But I try to right now. I've been saying that it is very good time to start a game company right now, because if you're not trying to get 3 to 5 million euros of funding, then now it's a perfect time. If you can work with Starttiraha or with your savings for a year, now it's a great time to learn to become a bit better game developer in your trade by starting a game company. Like getting a job is a little bit hard, and getting funding is very hard. But if you start now, when the business opens after a year or 3 months or something, we don't know
Nobody
yet.
knows.
Nobody knows. Then you are in a better position to actually get funding and get a job and everything. So now it's a perfect time to start a company. Go crazy.
Yeah, but basically, as Jonne mentioned, this is not the best time for us looking for funding for various reasons. There is inflation. The investors seems to be quite hesitant to invest to anything, and there is a lot of this kind of black swans like war in Europe, which we haven't seen before that in 80 years. So in that sense, it's not a good time for set up a company. But if you think it from the other way around, what we also know is that there is more money in the funds than ever before. So there is a lot of money in game industry funds at the moment. And at some point, they just have to start investing that money to somewhere.
Yes.
And this is good time to make preparations, not business, but maybe business itself, but preparations for the new company. The only drawback is that we don't know how long this is going to last, this situation as it is now. But it will eventually get easier for the...
Yeah, that's a shame that we don't know what happens in the future, because usually game industry has always been so predictable.
Yeah, games industry, which is...
Nothing ever changes.
Well, actually, we had this like some years of relatively
Stable
small
growth.
sailing from 2015-16 to 2019-20, but it's another story. One of the stories, or one of the things I have been contemplating quite a lot, is that what cities do to promote themselves as a game industry hubs. Because of course I know you guys because I have been in the industry 20 years. But do people usually, for instance, know what is going on in Oulu?
No. Well, yes and no. I think it's our advantage and our disadvantage to be up north. It's like we're a bit exotic and like, ooh, cool. And we do have like, we have a good spread of game companies. Like we have bigger ones like Fingersoft, but then we have a lot of these like, I just try to calculate this on the plane right here of like, I think we do pretty much everything because we have a VR company, we have a cross-platform company, we have a Web3 company, we have a like PC company, mobile company, like we do a lot. So I think we have a good kind of profile in terms of like things are happening in Oulu and things are happening in the game industry in Oulu, definitely. The reason why I say yes and no is because I think the industry people kind of know that things are happening in Oulu. But for instance, if we would want to do recruitment from other industries, I'm not sure if we're bursting that bubble in terms of is Oulu a viable city when people are, for instance, thinking about moving to Finland to come and work. We do a lot of work. We have an international house that we just set up this year that helps in relocating to Oulu and all of these kind of things. But I think there is work for us up north to be a bit more visible still.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was some years ago. I was working on this mapping project, or it was for the city of Jyväskylä. We did the mapping, so we went through all the game companies in central Finland, all the industry, and what do they need, and then what has been done in other, let's say, hotspots around Nordics and Finland.
Yeah.
And there were quite a couple of very clear things that the company said. That what do they need to flourish on that area and grow and operate better? They were like they needed help with more cooperation and collaboration between companies in that area. Not just game companies, but with all companies, because many game companies can use their skills and offer their services for, let's say, education and do some gamification or different types of things they can collaborate with all kinds of industries. Then other thing was they really felt that it would be useful to have some kind of visibility for the area. So there we concepted a brand for the Central Finland game industry. So we did this concept called Digi and Game Center. So the center word is there because it's Central Finland, and Digi and Game because it's cooperation with games and all kinds of digital industries. Then one thing was they really felt that it would be beneficial to have like easy to approach and spaces for the like office spaces. So Digi and Game Center became a co-working space with 1,000 square meters of offices. And the next thing was they really felt it's useful to have collaboration with the schools because the talent comes to the cities usually through schools. And when the talent graduates there, then they think like, are we going to start a new company, or can we be hired or do something in this area? If not, let's move to Tampere or Helsinki or Espoo, like some crazy people do. So Digi and Game Center became that, what Jyväskylä can show, a common brand for the industry that is global and attracts talent as well as collaboration, as well as global companies and operators to come there for events. Also there are events and such that can be organized in the space. So that is something that I think was very successful thing, that what city can do to kind of help the community there and startups.
That is, I just want to add that there's a lot of game schools around Finland, so it's tiny bit silly that there's no, if you just graduate in a school as a professional and then you have to move out of the city and then find your job somewhere else. So it would be really important to have that kind of communication that we have game industry, we have something here in every city basically that provides game education.
Yeah, I guess that they have somehow managed to do it in Kajaani.
Yeah.
If you think about Finnish cities where there is this kind of city or regional development programs, the Kajaani is one of those places where people actually come to study in Kajaani. Of course, they don't all stay in Kajaani because it's a cold city and it's far north, but there is still a very kind of prominent cluster in Kajaani.
Yes.
In the games industry.
Yes, they suffered a lot during the pandemic because the remote work.
Yeah,
Now when they're back to face-to-face studies, it's really good because you have nothing to do that make games and get to know each other there. So it's a really good thing.
Yeah, and they have actually their own conference, Northern Game
and multiple successful game companies.
Yeah, that is very true. So somebody has actually been able to do part of that also in Finland.
Yes. I think Outokumpu and Kajaani were the first places where the
that's true.
game education
2004.
happened.
And it gives you the idea how long does it take, because as Jonne mentioned, these two places, Outokumpu and Kajaani, they started the game education back in 2004, 2005. It's almost 20 years, and now they have industry not in Outokumpu so much, but in Kajaani, and so it takes a long time. One of the things of course, we are working mostly with the project money, so which is a sad thing because the project money is only typically for 2 years, and it doesn't provide the sustainability. But when you are doing your reporting to the EU or to some authority, what are the metrics you are looking for? So,
I think in terms of the projects that I personally have, I unfortunately don't have a game-specific project, but I do have a startup-specific project. So when we look at that, we look at how many companies are established, and if it's more towards like people, we look at like, are they employed, are they an entrepreneur, these kind of like basic metrics that are there. But then with the export trips, those kind of metrics that we then report there is, I think it's a lot based on the feedback we kind of get.
Yeah.
So for instance, we ask companies like, did you have successful meetings? Why did you go here to begin with? And did you get what you got? Did you get out of it what you wanted to get out of it?
Yeah.
And we get very positive feedback on that usually of like 5 out of 5 success.
Yeah.
So those are the kind of things that we can then report back to the higher beings of like
higher beings
of like this does make an impact, and especially the export activities are something that despite them running on project money, I'm so happy that we've been able to get those kind of internationalization projects that also are able to help the game industry.
Yeah, okay. And as far as I remember, you have been in these trade missions maybe 15 years from Oulu, so you have been very sustainable in that thing. So you have been able to provide the funding for the companies to join the trade missions for a while.
Yes, yes.
Yeah. Okay, so do you have any questions in the audience? I guess that we have been talking quite a lot about many topics, but there is one question in the audience at least, or 2 questions, or go for it.
Hi, hello. Is this on? Can you hear me? Test. Yes. All right. So I'm a backend and tools developer, and
could you hold the mic a little bit closer?
Can you hear me now?
Yes, now we can hear you.
Very intimate, thanks.
So I've been a backend and tools developer in the games industry for a while, and also one thing that I notice is that we keep solving the same problems, making the same tools, and then for the next game throwing it all out and doing it again, and then you switch companies and you make them again, and then like when you talk about this games hub, are you also looking to invest in, say, like tools providers, service providers for games companies?
Go for it. Yeah.
So that is exactly, if we think about the path, like lab as a pre-incubation program, and then incubator and maybe accelerator. So the accelerator is most tricky of these maybe, because game companies that are already established have different kind of needs, but they also have a lot of common. So that's our vision at the moment, how the accelerator should be, so we could help the basics, give the basics to the game companies so they could focus on making games. So that's our vision right now for the accelerator path here in Espoo, but everything is still in the move, so no promises right now, but that is real problem.
Yeah, and there is another question over there. But if I may add to that, there has been a lot of different kind of games industry regional programs going on, starting from Elvi in Oulu, and then we had Manse Games in Tampere, and we have had different kind of programs in, for instance, in Turku, Jyväskylä, of course. There has been something going on in Joensuu. There has been something going on in Kotka. So there has been a lot of programs in these 10, 15 years. And I agree with you that there is many lessons learned, but do we remember those lessons, or do we make the same things and same mistakes over and over again? Yes. And it's the one story with this sustainable development is that we don't make the same mistakes again, but we are creative and we invent new mistakes. That's the story with everything.
Creative industry.
Yeah, creative industry. But go for it. Yeah.
Hello. I was going to ask, as the main problem that I always hear is that Finland has no money. Is there any kind of looking to models that exist in other countries, like in Canada, you have the Canadian Media Fund, you have provincial and federal tax credits, you have all these things that have very trackably made that country a huge powerhouse for games given the size of the population, or in Germany or Denmark, you name it. Is there, I know we have the Nazi government right now, but is there far-reaching kind of plans of like, let's model after other countries that are doing this right rather than reinventing the wheel or hoping mana will come from heaven?
We have a hope.
well, basically, we have been trying to do that for a number of years, and for some reason it seems to be that games industry is in a trap in Finland. The trap is that nobody actually, there is this cognitive bias. We are very, very kind of successful financially, so should we be under the Finnish Ministry of Trade and Industry? But on the other, we are cultural industry, so should we be under the Ministry of Culture? So we are in between of two ministries, and they are trying to push us from Ministry of Trade is trying to push us under the Ministry of Culture, and Ministry of Culture is trying to push us under the Ministry of Trade. And we are in that kind of limbo at the moment, or we have been for a number of years. So nobody actually knows who should support the games industry. And that's the reason why the regional support has been so important and still is. And another story is that the story I hear quite often, so you are successful, why do you need the government money? Because typically they don't understand the value of ecosystem development. And luckily some of the big companies are also at the moment investing to the ecosystem development. But to be honest, we have paid like almost 3 billion taxes during last 10 years. And my question when they talk about that is that what do you get with 3 billion? So we have already been net positive to the Finnish national economy, and we should be entitled to get some of that money back to the industry in order to grow again or grow even more. But it has been a pretty fucking difficult discussion. And that's the reason why I think that one of the things we should do, or what we have also been doing, is try to find the arguments for the games industry. But we are working for it. Let's put it this way. We are working for it, and I know pretty well the Canadian model, the Germany 60 million euros model, different kind of tax incentive or tax rebate models in different European countries and so on. But, well, when it comes to chat, I have said that sometimes I feel like Moses. If you have read the Holy Book, Lord told to Moses that you are going to see the promised land, but you are not going to get there yourself ever.
Like, yeah, we just want to desperately pay your healthcare, but they make it harder. That's our dream.
For the, like, let's say that we have the best game country in the world, but there's a lot of work to be done to keep it that way.
Yeah, yeah.
Then I like to think that don't put politics where politics is not needed, but it's very important for all these organizations to make the industry's needs and how it operates to visible, so that maybe the politics can operate better.
Yeah.
I've been trying to talk in the language of politicians, and I've been talking about ecosystem debt. Like, if we don't get more people to the industry, more new professionals from schools and abroad and everywhere, our growth will stop, like, hinder even more. So that's what I've been trying to do.
Yeah.
Yeah, harboring new talent is crucial here.
But hey, we are out of time. Are we out of time? Or can we
we go?
take last round, Oleg? We can take. So, hey, but this is about cities, and this is for you and you. Why a game company should come to Oulu?
Oh, God. I had time to think about this because we have a super good community. We're an easy access place to get to. There isn't too much people, so you get to be on your own if you want to, but you can find your people if you want to also, because it's a low barrier to get into the community there when doing games. As said several times, we do trade missions, so you get to go and actually speak to actual publishers, and we help you in it. And that was my last point. Thank you.
Thank you. Jonne.
So we are building something great in Espoo, and we want you to be part of it. So we want game companies to have like Accenture on like how we build this cluster and hub. So that is the good reason to be part of Espoo game industry.
And nobody serves beer.
No beer. We
No
tried
beer.
to serve beer, but nobody drinks beer anymore. Some reason we stopped.
That was one of the big things like 20 years ago, but not obviously anymore.
People don't drink anymore.
Okay, but hey, thank you guys, and thank you for the panelists, and thank you for the audience. I hope that you got something out of this blabbering of ours. So have a nice day, and see you around.